Hey there you guys, welcome back. Today I just wanted to show you some of the plants that I have in bloom right now. I don't have a lot of flowering plants, or maybe I do, they're just not all in bloom. I tend not to really go for the flowering plants anymore. I have really bad allergies that when things are in bloom I stuff up like crazy, so I like foliage. But I do have some blooming plants, and don't get me wrong, I do love them. My body just doesn't love them. So just a few that are here. I just wanted to share this one. This one is really fun. I got this one, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, I'm not sure. This is a Negia Deep Purple Dreaming. This, I guess, is a hybrid between two different types of Syningias. A tall variety and a micro variety, so a really interesting cross. I don't know the parent names, but this plant is stupendous. This is a little corm developer, or a little tuber, and I think I actually repotted this one this spring, and the little tubers or corms were about the size of grapes. So for the size of this plant, the little storage devices under the ground were quite large. Yeah, I thought I had killed this plant, and it naturally goes into a dormancy period, so it's either you kill it or it's dormant. So if you ever see these things start to die back, don't overwater it. Just assume that it's going dormant and let it wait a little bit. They don't want to dry out completely, but they want to dry out a little bit more than normal. Yeah, let it rest for a bit, and then usually it pops back up and it gives you all kinds of flowers. As you can see, the plant is really short. I think that this plant can get up to about 12 inches tall, but mine has never gotten more than, I'm gonna say, 6 inches. And again, I've had this for a little while, and it just does its own thing. I should put it in a cuter pot. It's just in a plastic pot. Maybe I'll get a little catch pot to put it in. But as you can see, these blooms are really cute. It will bloom for a long time and just be a complete show. The leaves are really pretty too. It's just a really nice plant. Easy care. It's a lower light plant, but it still wants a bright indirect, but more maybe on the medium side to bright. But yeah, it's been super easy and very tolerant. So what do we have next? This one here is called Negia Prudence Risleyi, R-R-I-S-L-E-Y, and this one's really pretty. This one has been in bloom for a little while for me, so the flowers are kind of fading a little bit, but it has a really long tube-shaped bloom, and yeah, they're really pretty. Again, they're really easy to grow and care for. They do go into a dormancy period. This one doesn't seem to go into a full dormancy like the other guy. This one will die right back to the ground, and then you think it's dead, and then it comes back. But this one seems to, where the flowers are coming from, that particular branch will die, or that growth will die back. But then as you cut it back, you'll see that there's new growth coming from the base. So it never really dies back completely. These guys have been really a difficult one for me to care for because they like to be constantly moist. I'm getting better. Constantly moist but not wet, and they like to be repotted frequently, like annually, and I am really bad for repotting things annually. I don't have the time, but I need to try to make the time. So since I've been repotting some of my Nereids, they have been rewarding me with some better growth. So yeah, that's this one. It's a really pretty one. The flowers are quite striking, very vibrant, and they're really big for the size of the plant. So that's cool. And this one here doesn't look the greatest. It did look better a few months ago, but I was keeping it in my bathroom, and I guess as the light levels went down from summertime to fall, it started to lose its leaves. Maybe there was a cold draft, I'm not sure. So this one I will have to repot. I didn't repot this one when I repotted my other ones, so it's in definite need of some love. But the flowers here, I don't think it's going to show up on camera here. What is this one called? It's like Big John or something like that, or Big Daddy, I'm not sure. really weird names here. I think it's Big John. And the flowers really aren't showing up very well. They kind of look blue on here, on camera, but when I look at it, it's like a a really, really cool purple with blue iridescence. So it's really, really nice. This one I'm going to actually, off with its head, I'm going to cut it off. It's got a really long trunk. I'm going to cut it off and scrape the woody section off a little bit to expose a little bit of green, and then I'm going to plant it in soil again. So I'm going to off with its head and make a cutting of it, and that will give it a new lease on life. As they get a little bit taller, I find that their leaves get a little bit smaller. They really need to be maintained, like I said, about once a year, whether you take leaf cuttings or whether you take stem cuttings. They really need a little bit of love, but they're great plants to have. Once the soil gets compacted, they don't grow as well. They like a nice, loose, more acidic soil, so like a peat moss kind of base with perlite and a little bit of fertilizer added in. So anyway, that is the little African violet. It's super cute. It needs some love, I understand, but it will get some maybe this weekend. And let's go into this one. This one is one of my orchids. This is the Alocasia Halo Ablaze. Halo Ablaze? Yeah, Halo Ablaze or Hilo Ablaze. These blooms are spectacular. They're quite large. I thought that they stood up a little bit more, but they seem to be curling over. I'm not sure whether that's what they're supposed to do or whether it's that they're doing that in my environment. I'm not sure. Because this is only the second or third time it's ever bloomed for me, and I've had it for many years. I think I've had this one probably for 7 or 8 years. And yeah, I'm so excited to finally experience the blooms again. Again, with my orchids, I've had a lot of pest problems. Mealybugs have been the biggest one on my list. And some scales. Scales a little bit easier to deal with. But yeah, mealybugs have been a problem, and as the buds are being produced, the mealybugs get into the buds, and then once they open up, well, if they open up, they usually blast. Yeah, they're just covered, and they just fall off really, really quickly. So that is the Alocasia Hilo Ablaze. It's Hilo. It's H-I-L-O. So not Halo, Hilo. So this one, it's getting better care now. I'm watering more frequently, and I'm also misting with a mister head on my hose, so it really enjoys that. Obviously, you don't really want to get a lot of moisture on the flowers because you'll get browning, but the leaves and the aerial roots really appreciate that extra moisture. Another one, it's not in bloom yet, but I thought it was fun, and I thought I'd show you. This is the Dracaena Capensis, the carnivorous plant that we started from seed. I think it was in the fall. Last fall, I think we started them from seed, and then I started growing some outside in my little carnivorous plant planter that is filled with my Sarracenias and Venus flytrap. So I brought one in because I don't believe the other one will survive in the pot, but it's an experiment. I store them in the garage over winter, so it shouldn't freeze, but we'll see. We'll see if it survives. But if it doesn't survive, I brought this one inside just as an insurance policy. But as you can see, we've got a flower spike happening, and really excited to see what that does. And I'm also excited to possibly get it to self-seed and make some more. I'd like to put some Dracaena Capensis into a bunch of my tropical plants. They might not survive because things get fertilized and whatnot. But anyway, if they survive, that would be great. But I'll always keep at least one pot individual as a parent plant. But they tend to be greenhouse weeds, so I think that they can tolerate a little bit of fertilizer and not be affected as seriously as other carnivorous plants. Don't quote me on that, but because it's a weed in some greenhouses, that's just what I assume. So anyway, that is that, the Dracaena Capensis. We started this one from seed a little while ago, and it's already starting to put out buds. On the carnivorous plant bandwagon, this is a, I just took off a dead leaf, Pinguicula morinensis. So this is the Mexican butterwort, and as you can see, it's got a cute little flower on here, and the flower looks like a viola. It's so pretty, like a little wild violet, and they're so striking. Usually on these plants, I tend to get a whole bunch of blooms, but this is my first flower on this particular plant, and I'm super excited for it. They bloom fairly frequently for me, but yeah, yeah, I'm excited to see this one, and I'm going to start some leaf pulling propagations, because I think that butterworts really need to be spread amongst your grow space so that they catch those pesky little fungus gnats. They do a really, really good job. Usually in the wintertime they go into a dormant phase that they don't produce the stickiness, but they tend to always produce some stickiness in the grow room. I think because it's warmer. But they do it to go into a dormant phase where it's more of a succulent growth and not the carnivorous growth. So that is a really, really fun one. Does it need a drink? These have really, really shallow root systems, and I always worry about lifting it to see if it has enough water, because I always feel like I'm going to pull it out of the media. So that is that one. Carnivorous plants, super fun, and many of them have really beautiful flowers. Not all of them, but many. This one is quite beautiful. The pinguiculas have really nice flowers in general. They're quite small, but they're quite striking, whether they're that purpley blue or periwinkle, I guess, I'm not sure, to reds and pinks, and just really nice kind of bluey purples. And then last but not least, this one here is my old faithful. You've seen this before. This is my little Anthurium. This is just the basic Anthurium. It's nothing really special, just the floral shop special. And it's been doing really, really well. I find that these like a really, really bright indirect location. If you give them lots of light, you're going to get lots of flowers. And if you don't give them enough light, they'll probably still grow just fine, but they probably won't produce as flowers as prolifically as if they get more. So you don't want to give them full direct afternoon sun, because you'll probably bleach out the leaves. But you can always pull them away from the window. That's a great problem to have. I wish I had the problem where my room was too bright, because I just pull them back to the back wall and let them do their thing. But this guy here is the one that we did propagations of. We took stem cuttings and put them back in the ground, and I'm going to have to do that again. I don't know whether you're able to see in there, probably not. There's all kinds of aerial roots starting to develop again. And it would be a great time to do some propagations. Well, maybe I'll do that in the spring. It's always better to propagate things in the spring, when things are trying to start to push out new growth. You're going to get faster results that way. But I just wanted to share with you these beautiful blooms. The plant itself is looking a little worse for wear. It gets ignored. It gets ignored. This poor thing gets completely bone dry. I think I probably water it once every 2 weeks, maybe 3. I don't know. I sound like a bad plant parent, but I water this very infrequently, and the soil is always very dry by the time I get around to it. They do like to dry out between waterings, don't get me wrong, but they probably don't want to dry out that much. Before I brought it down here, I did remove some yellow leaves, so this is looking much better than it did a little bit ago. But yeah, that is that. Hope you enjoyed the little look at some of the flowers that are being produced in my grow area, and I'd love to see some of the things that you have in bloom. Post to the Plants and Things What's Growing page on Facebook, or tag me on Instagram. I'd love to see what's happening in your grow space. Right now, a lot of things are going dormant, so you're probably not going to be getting a lot of flowers, but you're still probably going to have some. Anyway, until next time, you guys, happy growing.